My sister stole my husband right under my roof. They labeled it ethical love. I hired a lawyer. Their scheme fell apart in a single evening. During a tense discussion, my husband announced, "I have already asked your sister to be my girlfriend, and she agreed." "What did you say?" "Yes, she did." Looking at my husband Nathan sitting there composed, it felt like he had casually mentioned changing our Netflix password. We had been married for 8 years, and my younger sister Lily had been staying with us for 4 months after her apartment flooded. She had said our setup helped all of us. He opened his laptop and started a presentation called Our New Family Dynamic, showing a photo of us from last Christmas. I have considered this logically, and the advantages are obvious. He moved to the next slide listing points on household efficiency and shared costs. After fetching coffee from the kitchen, my sister said, "Hey sis, we should discuss the new setup." She sat beside Nathan on the sofa and held his hand right in front of me. Nathan said, "This helps you too." "Helps me?" For me, my husband seeing my sister was an improvement. "You have been tense from work recently, and me assisting with Nathan's requirements will reduce your burden." Lily explained it politely. Nathan clicked on another slide with a weekly timetable. "Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm with you. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Lily gets me. Sundays, we stay together as a family." He colored my days blue and Lily's pink. "This ensures everyone receives care and no one feels ignored." As I stood up, my legs felt unsteady. "You created a schedule for dating my sister?" Nathan nodded, with organizational pride. "I prepared a chore list and expense analysis too. The formal partner Lily will pay 35% toward household costs." He displayed another slide with budget forecasts. "We'll cut expenses with 3 salaries." Lily drank her kitchen-brewed coffee from my mug. "Also, I already live here, so little changes except we are truthful about emotions." She caressed Nathan's leg. "We have sensed this bond for weeks." Weeks, they had arranged this for weeks while I worked daily thinking my marriage was ordinary. "When did this begin?" Nate appeared thoughtful. "Remember your Dallas trip?" "Lily and I bonded over that weekend. That was 8 weeks ago. I was away 4 days for business. You got intimate with my sister while I was at a work conference." They chuckled as if I had said something foolish. "We didn't get physical, we shared our emotions and realized we match well," Lily replied quickly. Nathan had never been unfaithful. "So we are handling this properly. They repeated it often. Nathan pulled out a printed sheet. "This polyamory contract template came from the internet. We just need signatures to formalize it." The 24-page file detailed date nights and physical limits. "You inserted our names. I saw the 3-week-old date." Lily noted, "We wanted to be ready for this talk," shifting closer to Nathan. "What about our wedding promises?" Nathan switched to another data slide. 18% of couples explore ethical non-monogamy. "We are forward-thinking." Lily nodded. "Sisters share partners in various cultures." "It's simply natural." She took out her phone. I joined some sister-wife support groups online. Nathan showed another PowerPoint with a house diagram. I suggested converting the garage into another main bedroom. That way, everyone gets personal space. He had gotten quotes from builders, $21,500, but valuable for our fresh way of living. Our savings stood at $21,500. "Want to spend all our savings?" Nathan corrected me. "My other partner's room. We should stop thinking in terms of ownership." Lily stood. She touched my shoulder and said, "I know this feels overwhelming, but we are exploring something fresh and wonderful. We are in love no matter if you agree." I smiled for the first time. "You know what?" "You're correct." They looked shocked by my sudden acceptance. "Really?" Nathan asked doubtfully. "Really? Why not call my dad right away to share the great news?" Lily turned pale. "Why involve Dad?" "I called him to inform him about your fresh bond. I'm certain he'll have questions." Nathan appeared startled, but Lily grabbed my phone. "We shouldn't bring in family yet," Dad said on speaker. "Hi, sweetheart. How are things?" Dad was talking, and Lily looked ready to be sick on Nathan's PowerPoint. I stepped back and kept my phone out of Nathan's reach. My dad had raised us and understood Lily's true nature. She had been his favorite while growing up until she took loans from him and never repaid. 4 times. She was in my living room, gripping my husband's hand, assuming I would simply accept this. Dad waited for an answer, and I would provide one. He would never forget. "How's everything there?" Dad asked over the speaker, his tone suggesting he sensed trouble. I replied while facing Lily. Dad, I have incredible news about Lily. Her new romance is quite unexpected. Lily's eyes grew wide and she gestured frantically at me to stop the words from reaching the phone. Lily said, "Wait, Dad, it's not like that." Her voice rose high and shaky. "We plan to inform everyone when ready, and this is unfair." Nathan moved to Lily and placed his hand on her shoulder as if handling a tough client. "Mister, my name is Nathan Harrington. We might be explaining this situation poorly. We are examining contemporary relationship styles. Many stable couples form extended families and studies indicate their advantages." He spoke in the steady manner that once comforted me but now made me want to strike him. The phone went silent. My father stayed quiet for 1 to 6 seconds. I saw Nathan's sure grin weaken a bit. Lily clutched Nathan's arm with white knuckles. Dad spoke, and his level, icy tone was uncommon in my life. "Nathan, are you involved with my younger daughter while wedded to my older daughter?" Nathan stepped back as if hit by the words. "Sir, that's not exactly it. We didn't physically. I'm describing an emotional bond that developed naturally, and we have fair and balanced plans ahead that include all three of us. If you want to review the structure, I have a presentation." Stumbling over his words, it was the first time I had seen him lose his smug confidence since this ordeal started. "Future plans," Dad said slowly. "You intend to be with both my daughters." Nathan nodded, though Dad couldn't see. "Yes, sir, an ethical structure that honors everyone's requirements and boundaries. Modern psychology backs these arrangements through honest dialogue and defined rules." That caused Lily to cry. She wept, her shoulders shaking and mascara running down her cheeks. "I knew this would occur," she wailed. "Everyone reacts like this, I knew. No one has ever backed my decisions. Nobody wants me to be happy. You all want to control my life and dictate my emotions." She did what she had always done since childhood, turned herself into the victim regardless of her actions. My inability to prevent her from shattering Mom's favorite vase while playing ball indoors was my fault. They blamed the teacher for creating an overly difficult test when she was caught cheating in high school. As she clutched my husband's hand in my living room, she cried once more about how harsh everyone was. Dad said quietly, "Lily." Over the phone, his voice remained frighteningly calm. "Call your sister." She spoke privately. Lily looked at me with nearly frantic eyes. "Dad, we should handle this together as a family. Nathan believes that's the best method to discuss these matters." But I was already walking to the kitchen with my phone to my ear. I said, "I'm here, Dad," removing him from speaker and shutting the door. I could hear Lily sobbing in the living room from the quiet, dark kitchen, but it seemed distant. "I need you to pack some clothes," Dad stated. His voice had gentled but turned firm, tightening my throat. "Bring enough for about a week and stay with me tonight. Do not debate. Offer no reasons. Take what you require and depart." My hands trembled as I leaned against the counter. "Dad, I don't know what to do next." Their PowerPoint was finished. Their schedule was color-coded. They had signed a contract. Dad's angry tone may have sounded humorous. "Your sister has acted this way her entire life, but this crosses a line. Come tonight and we will plan your next steps." A divorce attorney is at my golf club. Solid person. Assisted my friend when his wife tried to take everything. Someone like that is essential. Divorce. That word struck me hard in the chest. It also felt correct. At last someone voiced what I feared to admit. "What about Lily?" I asked. "What about her?" Dad's voice grew stern. "She made her choice. She picked your husband over her sister. That's not something you come back from. Pack your bag and leave before they try to stop you." Nathan talks smoothly, and I don't want you listening to him tonight. "Okay, Dad." I nodded even though he couldn't see. "I'll be there in 45 minutes. I paused in my dark kitchen to catch my breath after ending the call. I heard Nathan's soft, soothing voice through the wall, probably assuring Lily that all would be fine and that I would adjust once I processed. It was his favorite word, process. The idea of my life falling apart required more reflection before I accepted it. Nothing was going to be processed. I was going to pack a bag and drive to my father's home to receive support, fixing this issue from someone who truly cared for me. I went upstairs to our bedroom without looking at them as I exited the living room. My bedroom, which I had shared with Nathan for 8 years, believing we were building something lasting. I tossed clothes into a suitcase, Nathan appeared in the doorway, looking worried for the first time since his foolish presentation, as I heard steps on the stairs. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Tell me what your dad said." I stayed quiet. I continued packing. Underwear, socks, my phone charger, my weekend outfits, and the book I had intended to read for months but never found time. "We should discuss this," Nathan said while entering. "Escaping to your father's won't solve anything. We need a mature conversation about our emotions and future." I looked at him after closing the suitcase. "My lawyer will contact you," I said. He looked stunned, which made this night worthwhile despite the pain. I walked past him and went down the stairs to see Lily still on the sofa with tissues spread around. Red eyes looked at me. "Where are you heading? We are not finished talking." But I was done. I was done. I exited through the front door, entered my car, and drove to my father's house as my phone vibrated with unread messages from both of them. I thought about Nathan's timetable the entire drive. Blue for me, pink for Lily, like entries on his agenda, not real people, like 8 years of marriage were merely a slot he could adjust. Now that was finished. After arriving at Dad's driveway and seeing the porch light on, I felt something I hadn't felt in hours. Safe. I would survive. My sister believed family meant something different, but I had relatives who acted like family. So I would be fine even if it took time and hurt deeply. Nathan and Lily argued intensely in the living room while I packed upstairs. Nathan said we needed to control the narrative before it spread through the vent. In tears, Lily said I ruined everything by calling Dad. Good. Let them worry. Let them realize that real family made their small timetable and color-coded schedule meaningless. Dad had reached out to his golf club's divorce lawyer. I was the shocked wife 25 minutes ago. It was now my turn to strategize, trust me. What happened at Dad's place the next morning made their PowerPoint look like child's play. Dad was waiting for me in the kitchen with 2 cups of coffee, and that look that showed he was thinking deeply. I sat across from him and wrapped my hands around the warm mug as he gazed at me like he was unsure how to begin. He continued, "There's something I need to share with you in time." His words made my stomach turn cold. About 6 weeks ago, Lily called me asking for money, $6,000. She said she needed repairs for water damage to her place. He rubbed his face like he was tired. She mentioned the insurance wasn't paying fully, and she needed support to recover. Lily moving into my guest room for 4 months, eating my food, using my things, and supposedly taking my husband filled my mind. "Did you give her the money?" Dad shook his head. "I told her I'd consider it. The whole story felt strange. She was mentioning worries at your house and maybe staying longer than expected." He picked up his phone from the table. "I now see why she wanted that cash. Repairing her apartment wasn't her goal. She planned to stay with you permanently." His phone was unlocked and he browsed through messages. "I'm sorry because it will sting, but you need to see who your sister truly is." Turning the phone toward me, I saw months of text conversations between him and Lily. My sister had complained about me to our father for months. Dad said, "Read them kindly," so I did. The first was from 5 months before the crisis. Lily complained because I wouldn't let her use the guest bathroom. Not accurate. Nathan used that bathroom, so I asked her to keep her products off the counter. The next message was harsher. She told Dad that I was distant and cold with Nathan, and she could sense his unhappiness. He deserves better. She wrote someone who truly cares for him instead of focusing on work. Reading it made me feel sick. Another message from 3 months ago that Nathan had shared marriage problems with her and that she could bring him more joy than I could. She wrote that to our father. "She told you everything and you didn't alert me." Dad looked regretful as I looked up. I thought she was exaggerating. "You know Lily. She always turns everything into her own drama." "I didn't think she would actually take your husband. I believed she was jealous and venting." He pulled back the phone and read another message. "Check the date on this." It was from 4 months ago, 10 days before Lily's apartment flooded. She wrote to Dad that my marriage was falling apart and that she was concerned about me, but that Nathan needed someone who understood him. 10 days before flood. Leaning back in my chair, something connected in my head. "Dad, when did Lily's apartment flood?" Dad raised his eyebrows at me. "Middle of the month 4 months ago." Why, I calculated mentally. Lily texted Dad about my marriage troubles and how Nathan deserved more. Her apartment flooded 10 days before she moved in with us. She now had an excuse to stay in my house every day while I worked 10 days earlier. Just 10 days prior, she began making coffee for my husband and connecting with him there. Emotions. Did she deliberately cause the flood? I asked. I knew it sounded crazy even as I said it. But Dad didn't laugh. He looked at me seriously. I think your sister seized an opportunity. The timing is too exact to ignore, whether she created or took advantage of the flood. He stood up and walked around the kitchen like he was figuring out a puzzle. We must call your mother. Although she's 2 states away, she always knew how to handle Lily's schemes when you girls were young. Remember Lily convincing everyone at school you stole her science project? Your mother found out Lily had done it all. Yes, I remembered. Lily was 13 when she copied my project and told the teacher I stole it. I was 16. Mom took both projects to school and spotted Lily's, had my name whited out in one corner where she'd missed removing it. Lily cried and acted the victim, and some believed her. But the teacher knew the truth. It's late, I said, looking at Dad's wall clock. Mom's probably asleep. Your mother hasn't slept past 8 in 28 years, Dad said while dialing. She'll want to know, Mom answered after 2 rings. Richard, everything okay? Nearly 9.3. Even over the phone, I could hear her concern. Dad put her on speaker and placed the phone between us on the table. The girls are having issues. Our older one is with me. A moment of silence from Mom. I sensed trouble. About Lily. Dad and I looked at each other. Why think that? I asked. Mom sighed, and I imagined her in her living room with her reading glasses and book in her lap. Lily called me last week with the strangest questions. She wanted to know if the Bible had stories about sisters dating or marrying the same man. My jaw dropped. Dad closed his eyes and shook his head slowly. She was asking about Isaac, Hannah, and Miriam, Mom said. She said it was for a book club discussion, but Lily hasn't read since high school. I suspected something but didn't ask. I suppose I should have, I said, Mom, leaning toward the phone. Lily and Nathan want a relationship while I'm married to him. Their PowerPoint presentation covered it. I heard a longer silence this time. Mom spoke again with a firm voice I rarely heard. They made what? A PowerPoint with schedules, charts, and a contract. They want a date and want my approval. Lily has lived with us for 4 months and has been working on Nathan. The sound Mom made was half laugh, half something else. That girl, that cunning girl, I should have known when she called about Bible stories. She requested permission. She wanted me to say something calming. Dad jumped in. She requested $6,006 weeks ago. Apartment repairs, they said. Now we think she never intended to return. She desired permanent residence. Of course she did, Mom said. Lily always plans ahead. She started doing this when she was 7 and discovered she could get extra dessert by crying to each parent. She paused. What must I do? When Dad looked at me, I looked back. I felt less alone for the first time since Nathan opened that stupid laptop. Dad was in the kitchen and Mom was on the phone, ready to help me fight. I don't know yet, I said. I learned about this tonight. Nathan and Lily may be at my house trying to spin this. Dad recommended a divorce attorney. Good, Mom insisted. First thing Monday morning, use it. Do not return to that house alone. Don't let them persuade you. Nathan makes everything sound reasonable and Lily knows what to push. She was right. My brain was still making excuses for them. Maybe they had feelings. Maybe I focused too much on work. Nathan may have looked elsewhere because I was wrong. Then I remembered the schedule. I was blue, Lily pink, like objects on a to-do list. I said I'm not going back, and meant it. Good girl, Dad whispered. Mom called again. I'm researching flights I can attend Sunday morning. We'll solve this as a real family, not whatever twisted thing Lily is making. My sister had been working with both parents to find someone to support her takeover. She tested Dad with the money request. Mom was tested with odd Bible questions. She went ahead even though neither parent agreed, thinking she and Nathan could present it as a done deal I'd have to accept. Lily didn't expect our family to talk. We had a group text and both parents knew everything by midnight. Mom booked a weekend flight. Dad researched our state divorce laws. And I finally saw my sister clearly after 28 years. I barely slept in Dad's guest room. I slept better than in months when I finally fell asleep. I smelled coffee downstairs and saw the sun through the curtains when I woke up. I didn't open any of Nathan's or Lily's 25+ messages on my phone. Dad was sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee and laptop, open to a legal website when I put my phone on silent. "Morning, sweetheart," he said without looking up. "Coffee is in the pot, and I called that lawyer. Meet him Tuesday afternoon." I poured myself a cup and sat across from him, hoping things would work out. We heard a car enter the driveway. Dad raised his eyebrows at me and stood to look out the front window. His entire body stiffened. "It's Nathan," he said, his voice flat and cold, raising my arm hair. He exits his car with a folder. I could feel my heart pounding in my throat, but Dad put his hand up before I could get up. "Stay here. Let me handle it." I heard him open the front door before Nathan could knock. I moved closer to the doorway to watch the porch. Nathan stood there in his nice work shirt, looking like he practiced in the mirror before driving over. He opened his mouth to speak with a thick folder in his hands. "We need to talk like adults," Nathan said in his usual calm voice to sound reasonable. "Your daughter is overreacting by involving family in a marital matter. I think we can find a solution for everyone if we sit down and talk rationally." Dad stood with his arms crossed in the doorway and didn't move to let Nathan in. "You have 3 minutes to explain yourself before I call the police for trespassing on my property." Nathan didn't blink. He nodded as if this was expected and pulled papers from his folder. "I understand this seems unconventional," he said in a slow, childlike voice. "But if you look at these articles from relationship experts and psychologists, you'll see that polyamory is actually a healthy and normal lifestyle choice for many couples." He showed Dad the headers and highlighted sections by holding up the papers. Peer-reviewed research shows that consensual non-monogamous couples are satisfied and communicate well. This is nothing to fear. Many families thrive with these arrangements. It's progressive and modern. He held the papers out to Dad as if he expected him to read them carefully. "This is from a university study that found polyamorous children develop similarly to traditional children. This one explains how jealousy is a social construct that can be unlearned through communication." Nathan held out the papers to Dad for a moment. Then he grabbed them. From the doorway, I watched my father hold Nathan's hours-long printed and highlighted articles. Dad then cut them in half horizontally. He read nothing. He ignored their text. He ripped them apart and dropped them at Nathan's feet on the porch floor. Nathan stared at the torn paper on the ground, mouth open, confused by what had happened. "Sir, those were peer-reviewed studies from respected journals," he said, raising his voice. "If you educate yourself about modern relationship structures, you would see that Lily and I are proposing is based on solid psychological principles. We didn't invent this. A whole community lives happily this way." Dad stayed. About 2 minutes remain. I watched Nathan's face change as he considered his options. His calm mask cracked slightly. I could see him quickly going over his list of arguments to find a new one to work on my father. Something changed in his expression, and I knew what he would say next would make me angry. "Look, I didn't want to say this," Nathan said, his voice lowering like he was talking privately. "However, your daughter has been emotionally distant for years. She works nonstop. She never comes home. She's exhausted and stressed at home, so she has no energy for me or our relationship." He spread his hands to show honesty and vulnerability. I was lonely. My attempts to talk to her about it were met with silence. She's silent. She conceals emotions. After work, she stares at her phone and falls asleep on the couch. My hands formed fists at my sides. He blamed me. He was on my father's porch blaming me. "After 8 years of trying, I finally found someone who listens to me and makes me feel valued," Nathan said. "Is it my fault she's her sister?" I didn't anticipate this. Lily was there. She got me. She listened when your daughter didn't. She made me feel valued. Can you blame me for responding to that connection? Dad let him finish. He stood there with his arms crossed and face stone, letting Nathan say everything. My father spoke after Nathan finished and looked at him hopeful, like he'd found the right argument. "My daughter will contact her lawyer. Leave my property." Nathan retreated as if the words pushed him. "Could we at least discuss this?" Trying to be reasonable. "Finding a solution for everyone is my goal. Your daughter is ending an 8-year marriage over a misunderstanding. Isn't it her duty to hear me out? We share a house. We live together. We share history, plans, and accounts. You can't waste that because you're upset." Dad sounded colder than ever. "You alone ruined this marriage. You must leave my property within 15 seconds or I'll call the police." He closed the door. It was closed firmly, like Nathan wasn't worth a slam. I ran to the front window and saw Nathan looking lost on the porch. He stood staring at the closed door, almost unable to comprehend what had happened. His mouth moved slightly, like he was still thinking of words to open the door. He examined the torn paper on the porch floor. He slowly bent down and picked up the ripped items, as if they still mattered. He held those torn papers and stared at the door. I could tell from his face that he didn't understand why his logic failed. In his mind, he was ready. He researched. He printed proof. He prepared responses to all objections. How could anyone reject sound reasoning and peer-reviewed research? He returned to his car, clutching the ripped-up articles like he didn't know what to do. The driver sat for at least 2 minutes staring at Dad's house through the windshield. Finally, he started and drove away. Dad returned to the kitchen and sat across from me. "You okay?" he asked. I had no idea how to respond. He blamed me, I said. Voice was smaller than desired. He said I was emotionally detached. He pursued Lily because of that, as if I ordered him. Dad shook his head slowly. People like Nathan do that. They can't admit fault, so they blame others. He would have found an excuse even if you were the perfect wife. That's how they work. They twist everything around to make you the bad guy for being upset they hurt you. His hand covered mine across the table. None of this is your fault. Nathan and Lily made choices, and now they must live with them. You need not live with them. You can leave and improve. My eyes were filling with tears, but I held them back. What if he's right? If I was a bad wife? Hands squeezed by Dad, despite working too much or being tired, which is part of being a normal worker. You do something when you're unhappy in a marriage. It's divorce, counseling, or honest conversation. You don't sneak around with your wife's sister for weeks and present a business proposal with slides and contracts. An unhappy husband doesn't do that. A selfish man who wants everything his way does that. Nathan texted 19 times in 3 hours, and I watched them go unanswered. First, he was reasonable, suggesting we discuss this as adults. He apologized, saying he never meant to hurt me, and maybe the presentation was too fast. He became angry and said I was destroying our family over a misunderstanding and being dramatic. The last text said Lily was packing and leaving because I made her feel unwelcome in her sister's home. Her sister's house. I paid half the mortgage on my house, my kitchen where she made coffee, and my husband's mug. Dad just shook his head at my face while reading the texts. We both knew it would continue. Lily never went down without taking everyone down. We ended this Sunday morning when Mom arrived. Lily had one more trick first. Thursday night, I was watching a cooking show in Dad's living room, trying to forget my life was falling apart when my phone rang. Instead of Nathan or Lily, it was a book club friend I trusted for years. "Are you okay?" she asked before I could greet her. "I saw Lily's post and wanted to check on you," tightening in my stomach. "What post?" She paused like she couldn't believe I didn't know. She shared this long thing on social media 35 minutes ago. It's everywhere. People are sharing and commenting, so I thought you should know before you see it elsewhere. I thanked her, hung up, and went to Lily's page on my phone. Dad looked up from his crossword puzzle when I breathed differently. "What is it?" he asked. I was too busy reading my sister's public opinion of me to respond. The post had at least 6 paragraphs and a photo of Lily looking sad with mascara running down her face like she was crying. Caption: "Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the worst." Then it got worse. She wrote that I was cold and controlling during her 4-month stay with me after her apartment flooded. She said I made her feel unwelcome in her family and that I was jealous of her since we were kids. She discussed falling in love with someone unexpected and how love doesn't follow our rules. Though she never mentioned Nathan, anyone who knew us would know. Her framing was worst. Lily's post claimed she did nothing wrong, she had feelings and expressed them. In response, her controlling older sister kicked her out and tried to turn their parents against her. She wrote that I made her homeless and that she lost her family for nothing she could do. She wrote, "I never meant to hurt anyone" at the end. "I fell in love. Is that unforgivable? I thought family would always support you. I guess my definition of family was wrong." Scrolling down the comments made me sick. Lily had over 150 supporters, most of whom supported her. "Your sister sounds so toxic," wrote one. "Your real family would be happy you found love." Another said, "Love is love no matter who. Your sister must mature and stop controlling." Another wrote, "This happens." Like, subscribe, and smash that bell before it smashes you. Stay with Reddit Tales Times for chilling twists, haunting tales, and daily doses of the disturbing. You've been warned.